G'day guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back for another episode of Wasteland Survival. So a bit of a disclaimer, I am going to be talking for a little while at the start of the episode, so I'll put a timestamp below so that you kind of skip this bit if you want to. Alright, we're back in the Wasteland for another week and another episode, and obviously, you guys know that I took last week off, so yeah, I was kind of feeling a little bit burnt out. It was my birthday, it was my son's birthday, and yeah, I just kind of felt like I needed to take a little bit of a break from building this base. And yeah, maybe a little bit of Space Engineers as well. Well, I guess not so much Space Engineers itself, but yeah, just kind of building this base out. I have to admit, the last couple of episodes have kind of been a little bit of a struggle in the sense where, yeah, I've just kind of struggled to come up with ideas on what I actually want to do, especially with these things like the crew quarters and bits and pieces like that. So what I'm finding is that I'm having to spend quite a lot of time off camera in creative mode coming up with different designs and then basically translating that into this survival world and then, yeah, basically creating an episode out of that. And I use the term survival very... Why is my light not turning? There we go. I use the term survival very loosely because, honestly, at this stage in the build process, we're not even really surviving. It's just kind of like I have unlimited resources available to me at this point in time. And I honestly cannot even remember the last time that I took the Nomad out in a little mining expedition. So yeah, everything that I've kind of built up until this point, or everything that I've been building in the past couple of episodes, I haven't had to do any mining for. So yeah, I don't know, Wasteland Survival, at least the survival aspect of that title, is kind of lost at this point in time. So yeah, given the fact that I've spent quite a lot of time on the last couple of episodes, I kind of felt like I was burnt out, and yeah, my creativity was not kind of flowing. So what I've decided to do is change direction a little bit in this series. So building out these crew quarters is really something that I gotta admit, I don't really enjoy it. Even though, I'm kind of happy with the progress I've made, I don't exactly enjoy creating them. So yeah, I think I'm going to change gears and I'm going to do something completely different. So yeah, we'll discuss what I'm going to do next. So turn my dampers off. So quite a while ago I was discussing with somebody on my Discord server that I would like to build some sort of escape craft from this base. In case this place gets blown up, all my ships get blown up, everything gets destroyed, I kind of have an escape plan, or somewhere where I can kind of exit this world, head off into space, and then we can begin a new journey. So to that end, what I'm thinking about doing is actually creating a kind of a tunnel at the end of this hallway that then leads on to something like a missile silo. And inside that missile silo, I'll have like kind of an escape craft. Now, if I bring up my spectator camera here, and we'll just have a look through the mountain, you can kind of see, yeah, this is the base. I know a couple of people have actually asked me what this base looks like, through the spectator camera. And yeah, here it is. So, as you can see, it's actually quite large. I believe that is the hydrogen tank room. That's the O2H2 generator room, cargo room. I can't remember what this one is. That's the reactor room. I believe, what's this one? Yeah, this is the engine room, and that's the refinery room. Here we have, kind of the armory, the shooting range with all the mass amounts of timer blocks, the medical room, of which I still actually need to go ahead and put in all these conveyor ports. Yeah, and obviously we have nothing over here. We've got this massive elevator shaft. And then obviously up here we have the beginnings of our crew quarters. So yeah, and with these crew quarters... Okay then. Yeah, so as I was saying, with these crew quarters, I think what I'm going to do is do this stuff off camera. So the original plan was actually to create a mess hall and then some crew quarters for like the lower end employees of this base. But I'm kind of getting bored with it, and it's really taking me a long time to come up with designs, and it's making me not want to actually play the game. So yeah, I think I'm going to move on to this missile silo idea. And let's head on back into the spectator camera. Now, as I was trying to say before, and I got distracted, as I normally do, what I'm thinking is creating the missile silo either here somewhere, or I could place it maybe somewhere like over here. So I guess we could do it up here. So if we head on down into the mountain, then we could kind of do it there. I guess I could have a hallway that kind of goes off the end of this. So we could have a hallway that comes out and then goes to the left here. But the problem is that I guess it kind of could work. I could just put the missile silo here, or I could just go ahead and place it over here. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to place it yet, but one thing I am sure about is that, okay, so it probably would have to be, I guess, somewhere like here or something like that. So we could do that. I do like the idea of it being behind the base, but I guess it really doesn't matter where exactly that is. So what I'm going to have to do though is build a massive hallway in either direction. So the hallway is going to be incredibly long. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't really want to walk that distance. So to kind of alleviate that, I could do something like this. With it being a lift, but I'd have to have a whole bunch of pistons, and as I've discovered, in gravity pistons tend to sag, so trying to make a piston arrangement that would go that far, I just don't think that would work. So I think the only option I have is to build a tram. So I'm going to take a little bit of inspiration from the Sparks of the Future update that Keen Software released quite some time ago. And I'm going to build a tram similar to theirs, but yeah, with my own little twist on it. So what I'll do though is I think I'm going to design the tram itself. Well, first of all, before I actually build the tunnel for the tram, I need to build the tram itself so that I know how big the tunnel itself needs to be. Because obviously I can't have a tram, or I can't build a tunnel and then kind of restrict myself and realize later on that, you know, the tunnel's not big enough to fit the tram in, and then I've got to re-engineer everything. So yeah, we're going to have to build the tram first up, and then yeah, kind of go from that point onwards. So the way this tram is going to work is probably through the use of autopilot blocks, or one single autopilot block in the tram itself, and then a set of timers and bits and pieces like that. So the autopilot will take it from one station to the other. So obviously this station being the end of this hallway, and then the other station being at the end, where it will reach the missile silo and ultimately the escape vehicle. So yeah, that's the plan. But I've never done anything with autopilot blocks before, so we'll see how it goes. I do know it does work though, because that's how the blocks or the trams in the Sparks of the Future world actually work. So I know it will work, it's just a matter of me figuring out exactly how to make that happen. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll head off into creative mode and we'll start designing this tram. It's a bit off the beaten path. Usually I try and do everything in survival, but yeah, I think obviously this thing's going to be quite complicated. I need to make sure it works, so I think the best place to do that is going to be in creative mode. Okay, well here we are in the Sparks of the Future world. I've kind of taken a little bit of a detour and I'm kind of following this here tram. So yeah, as you can see, the tram here is, yeah, it's pretty cool. However, there is a little bit of a problem with this tram. So it seems like the railing is on blast door blocks. So we're going to have to kind of replicate that. yeah, so as I was saying, I'll try and follow this tram as I'm talking. Can I lock myself to this? Yeah, there we go. So you can see that the tram wheels are kind of on the side, and we have our suspension kind of embedded into the roof of the tram. But obviously in a gravity environment, I just don't think that's going to work too well. It actually looks as if though, if we exit this mode, how do I turn automatic dampeners off? There we go. Okay. So can I squeeze through here? Please, come on, let me squeeze through. Ah, darn it. Ah! No, I don't want to die. So it looks like these top blast door blocks are held on just by these railings here. So yeah, I don't know if that's going to be something that will actually work in a survival environment. So yeah, there's that. I do kind of like the overall design, although I feel as if the carriage itself is kind of a little bit smaller than, yeah, I guess you could say the bits on top. So I think in my design, I'm going to make it a little bit taller, maybe one block taller to kind of balance everything out. And then I'm going to have to move the wheels to be on top. So I'm guessing we're going to have some sort of arrangement where the wheels are actually facing inwards. So we'll probably have 4 wheels in kind of a staggered arrangement. So we'll have like, you know, one wheel here, another one there, another one there, and another one there. So, you know, but one wheel will come from this direction, another one will come from that direction, another from there, and so on and so forth, you know. So we'll probably go for some arrangement like that. And yeah, we'll just kind of have to see how we go with that. Like I said, never build it. Ooh. Well, there we go. We're dead. Like I said, never really built anything like this before, so it's going to be interesting actually designing something from scratch. You know, obviously with the inspiration from what I've seen in this base. How do I get out of here? Huh? Surely there's a door. Oh, there's the door. Alright, there we go. Alright, so let's head off into creative mode and start designing this thing, I guess. Okay, so here we are on a testing world that I've created for these trams. It's actually, I believe it's like episode 3 of this series. And yeah, I've just kind of created a testing world out of this. So this is kind of my tram testbed. I know it looks hideously ugly at this point in time, but yeah, you kind of get the gist of what's going on here. So I've gone ahead and I've created my wheels at the top, so you can see that pretty clearly. Now the only problem I have with this whole setup is that it is extremely wide. So I've had to go ahead and create this suspension in a way where, like, we've got our 2 blocks and then we've got our 1 block in the middle. Then we've got our 2 blocks and then we've got our 1 block in the middle. However, you might kind of notice that we actually have 2 blocks here in the center. So, you know, this thing is like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks wide just on the interior space, and then the outside space is like 8 blocks wide. So it is humongous when we compare it to the one that is in the Sparks of the Future world, which Keen Software created. Because I'm building this thing in gravity, I don't believe I'm going to be able to get away with what they did in Sparks of the Future, because they had it kind of resting on some of these blast door blocks here, and I just don't think, you know, with gravity pushing down on these blocks and then them riding against a solid block is really going to be a good idea. I think it's going to cause damage to the blocks and eventually it's going to break. So the plan was to put some wheels like this and then kind of see how it goes. But I'm not really loving this design because it's extremely wide and way bigger than what it needs to be. But nevertheless, we will test this thing anyway. So maybe over here, what we can do is we can place a spire of blocks all the way up here. So we'll just do something like that, I guess. Maybe we'll go out here like this. Yeah, that'll do. Then we'll grab our blast door blocks. And I was thinking for this, I'm going to have to create some blast door blocks kind of in this orientation because, like I said, yeah, it's kind of 2 blocks wide. So to kind of stabilize it, we're going to have to place, yeah, a 2 block wide track. So if I do end up going for this kind of design, the railing itself is going to have to be kind of 2 blocks wide. So let's test this out. So you can see that the blast door blocks kind of facilitate the wheels and they slide in between the tram itself. Okay, so let's go into the control panel here. Let's find our thrusters and let's go ahead and turn all of these off so that we are then resting on the tram, or yeah, the tram railing. So it does work. But yeah, it's very, very janky. This didn't work out as well as I thought it would do in my head. The only option I've got from this point is to kind of add some wheels that kind of go this way to try and straighten it out. But even then, I don't know if that's even going to work. So what I could do here is maybe add some kind of wheel suspension. What have we got? 1 by 1 left. So I could add some wheel suspension there maybe, and then maybe there as well. But of course, you know, the wheel can't be placed. And use something like that to kind of straighten it out. But honestly, I think this design is a bust. I don't think this is going to work. Maybe instead of doing it this way, what I should probably think about doing is creating a carriage where the wheels are on the bottom, like a traditional sort of train. So let me design kind of a test bed, very similar to what this one is, but with the wheels on the bottom, and then we'll see how we go from there. Okay, so here is test carriage number 2. Now it's all kind of linked to these blocks that are embedded into the ground at this point in time. So as you can see, we have kind of like 6 wheels in the horizontal position here, and then another 3 wheels on this side, so 6 in total. We have ourselves 2 sets of rails. So I haven't adjusted the suspension of any of these at this point in time, but I think honestly this is probably going to be the best way to get around this. So before we lower this down any, I think what I'll do is, what I would like to do is make these wheels kind of fully touch this wall here. So let's go ahead and adjust these settings a little bit. So alright, so now that everything is saved, I think it might be time to get rid of these last couple of blocks that's kind of holding this carriage in place. I think though maybe I'll change these horizontal blocks here, or these vertical suspension, and maybe we won't put so much force on the outer edge. I'm worried that maybe, yeah, these vertical wheels. So let's go with, like, let's say 13 centimeters. What I'm worried about is that they're going to kind of tip the thing over. So we'll kind of see how we go at this point. Alright, so let's get rid of these blocks here and see what happens. Alright, so it sinks down. Let's jump into the cockpit here. And let's find our thrusters. And let's turn these off. Okay, fantastic. Alright, there we go. And now we have a somewhat stable kind of a tram. It does rock back and forth quite a bit, but that's okay. I think I can go ahead and I can fix that. So what I want to do now is let's put the handbrake on. Okay, so to give this thing a little bit further stability, I think what I can do here, honestly I'm not sure if I can actually do this. But we'll test it out anyway. So here, maybe I'll change the color of these though. Let's go with battered armor, I guess. Okay, there we go. Let's put a line of these blocks here to give it further stability than what it's got already. And let's see if we can actually drive over this. Let's release the parking brake, and there we go. So that doesn't really work out that well. So I don't know if that's going to be a viable option. And it seems like it is... Wait, has it fallen off the rails? I believe it actually has. Okay. That is really not cool. So, maybe instead of these horizontal or these vertical wheels pushing outwards, maybe I should have them clamping onto the middle rail. So let's move this thing forward. And let's kind of park it up, I guess, here. So let's park it up here. Let's press P. Are the rear vertical wheels up against that? Yes, they are. Let's turn the parking brake on and off. And we're still kind of at an angle. So this isn't working as well as I had hoped. Huh. Alright, well, let's back this thing up. Huh. It doesn't seem to be clamping down. Alright, this is proving a lot more difficult than what I thought it would be. Which is not cool. Alright, let's put the handbrake on. Because I do know that wheels are kind of susceptible to sinking through these blocks here. So let's maybe replace these blocks here with blast door blocks and see how we go with that. So let's get rid of these and let's go ahead and replace these with blast door blocks. A long time ago when I was messing around with the Nomad and when I first created that rover, I did run into a weird issue where and I don't know why this was happening, but there was kind of a strange issue where the wheels would kind of sink through standard blocks, and it only really happened when the rover became too heavy. So what I ended up having to do was replacing whatever ramps I was using with that rover with how's this going? Okay, so it is not going terribly good. So I can still see that it's kind of on one side, so that this isn't great. It's not fantastic. Okay, so it's actually the next day. Yeah, I kind of ran out of time to record and I decided to do a little bit of editing in between. Yeah, and I actually noticed that these wheels here aren't actually touching either side. So I'm gonna fix that, and then maybe when I do that, these wheels here on the side will kind of sort themselves out, because if I have a look through here, this wheel here is right on the edge, and then this wheel here is like, yeah, kind of right on the edge as well. I think also maybe what I can do, and let's back this thing up a little bit. Can we actually get back onto the other rails? Come on, please let me back. Maybe I'll have to turn the thrusters on and then move it back manually somehow. I don't know, this is weird, eh? Oh yeah, that wheel's stuck. Alright, so let me fix this and then I'll be back. Alright, well, I finally got this thing back on its rails. I had to delete these because the wheels were actually lodged into the blocks. So That's weird. Alright, so I can't remember if I said this before, but what I'm thinking here as well is like, because these wheels aren't fully touching, I think what I might do is add a half block in the middle here. So let's try this. Let's go ahead and put in our regular rails, which will be these blocks. And then from there, we can add in some half blocks. Because then I think the wheels will actually have a bit better kind of, how would I put it? They'd have a bit better grip on the rails themselves, and the wheels, rather than just the edge touching the rails, they'll actually fully engage with the rails. So hopefully that works out. Alright, so let's try this out. So I think in order to get this to work though, I'm going to have to move these wheels inwards and then clamp them. One thing I also noticed as well was like, maybe the strength of the suspension on these vertical wheels is not enough. So yeah, there is that too. Also, just before I start messing around with this thing again, I went away and did some research in between the last time I hit the record button and now. And there is actually a guy on YouTube, and I'll link the video down in the description of this video, that got the Sparks of the Future tram working on a planet. So, but I don't know if it was in survival mode or if it was in creative mode, so I don't know if it's really a viable option. But yeah, I didn't think it would work in gravity, but it turns out it actually does. The other thing I noticed as well is that a lot of other people that do trams tend to make these things out of small grid. So, you know, I think with small grid, you kind of have an advantage because you can incrementally move the wheels without them being a full block every time you move them back and forth. So, you know, you can move them, like, I think one large grid block is like 5 small grid blocks. So you can move it just that little bit and get the wheels to fully engage with the large grid rails a bit better. So yeah, if this doesn't end up working, then perhaps we can go down that route. I am still skeptical about the Sparks of the Future one, because I just don't know if it's going to work in gravity and the whole damage thing. So, alright, let's adjust these wheels and see how we go. Okay, so I've been messing around with this stuff for about 10 minutes or so. Okay, so these wheels here, well, okay, let's start with the horizontal wheels first. So these, I basically increased the strength of the suspension because the thing was like rocking back and forth. It is a very short carriage though, so there is that. So, you know, it's going to have a tendency to want to rock back and forth given how short the wheelbase is. If I lengthened it out, then it would kind of be a bit better. So maybe we can do that a bit later on. I'm not sure. Also, what I had to do was increase the strength of these wheels here, the suspension strength, so the force that is pushing that way, and then also increase the friction. Now the friction on these wheels kind of helps with the acceleration, so when I'm accelerating forwards and backwards, it kind of stops that rocking a little bit because there's a little bit of resistance on either end of the carriage. So if I go into here, and I'll kind of demonstrate this, and I know this might be a little bit boring, but I feel like it's necessary to go through this stuff with you guys so that you can, yeah, kind of design your own rail systems. Alright, so here you can see the strength is set to 25%. So if I just reduce that down to 6% like it was before, actually no, let's reduce the friction to, I think it's like, I had it set to 0, but let's reduce it down to 5. And then let's turn the parking brake off. So you can see that it does kind of rock back and forth quite a lot. So yeah, but then if I put the parking brake on and then we go back into these vertical wheels and then we turn the friction back up to, like, let's say 65, and then we have a look at what it does then you can see it is kind of like rock solid now. So that friction and the force of those wheels at the front and the back pushing out is really helping our situation. So I think though you can see that the wheels are kind of spinning on the side there when I go back and forth. So we may need to increase the friction on those wheels on that carriage. And man, this thing is like rock solid now. So that is awesome. And then, yeah, as I was messing around with it, I also got it stuck here, so I had to do some more creative stuff to get the thing off there. So yeah, I think, you know, the base of the rover, the base of the train, tram, whatever you want to call it, is pretty much done. So I know what kind of suspension configuration I need now. Now we just need to actually design the train so that it looks good. And I might even reduce the height of this suspension to bring it down a little bit more. So, but what I will do though is I'll go through the settings that I've got now. So, but first, before we do that, let's increase the friction on these horizontal wheels. So maybe we'll go for 90%. I think that's pretty good. Alright, let's see what happens when... Let's turn this off. So yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, okay. So let's go back into the settings and let's have a look at what we set. Don't roll away. I don't think I'm completely flat here. I think that's why it keeps rolling back and forth. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know why it does it. But anyway. Okay, so our horizontal wheels, we've got a power of 60%. The strength is 70%. Height offset is negative 1.5, but we're going to change that. Friction 90%. Speed limit 50 kilometers an hour. Maybe I might change that to, like, let's say 25, because it does go quite fast. But that number will change, I imagine, over time. And then our vertical wheels. So we have a power of 0%, because obviously I don't want the vertical wheels to drive the car, just the ones that are horizontal. Strength is 25%. That's the amount of force that it's pushing out onto the, or from the inwards to the outwards of the rails, if that makes sense. Friction 65%, speed limit 180 kilometers an hour. That's fine because we have no yeah, and I've turned off steering on all these ones. I've turned off propulsion on the bottom wheels as well. And I've also done the same with these wheels as well. So you can see here I've turned off steering, propulsion, but I have now turned on the brake, and I have allowed the parking brake. So that's pretty much it. So if you guys want to set up a carriage similar to this, then you have like kind of a basis of what settings you can use here. Alright, so let me play around with this height and get the height kind of figured out. Look at that. It looks like the strength on that, on those vertical wheels is so high that it's actually pinned this this carriage up. So alright, now it's worth noting as well, when you're setting up these vertical wheels, you kind of have to get the thing in there in the first place and then set them up, because otherwise you'll find that these wheels won't, yeah, they won't really get in there. Like if you tried to go from here to here, yeah, the wheels won't get in there. So you've got to basically slide them in, then set up all the settings for the suspension, and then you can kind of go from there. Alright, so let me get this thing lowered down, and then we can kind of go from there. Okay, so I'm back, and I've lowered the suspension on the sides down. As you can see though, the wheels aren't really touching. And that is because these vertical wheels are touching these blocks here. So I'm going to have to get rid of these blocks here on the bottom, and then kind of... Ooh, Clang is not happy that I'm doing that. And then, yeah, kind of make this 2 blocks deep to get the height that I want. So I think... what have I got the height set to on these wheels? I think it's set to about 40 centimeters. I might increase that to maybe 50. So let's go horizontal wheels. So yeah, it's negative 40 centimeters. So let's change that to negative 0.5 to make 50 centimeters. Let's have a look at the wheels on the side. Yep, that should be fine. Because I was just noticing this gap here on the suspension is pretty close. So I don't know if I really want to go any deeper than that. Okay, so let me go and change these, or get rid of these blocks, and then we'll see how we go with that. Okay, so I've dug out the center here. It's not my best work, but hey, it's just for testing purposes. And also, I've gone and reduced the height of these wheels here to about... What did I reduce them to? Let's just check it out. So yeah, you can see I've gone for negative 30 centimeters, and honestly, that is very close to these two blocks actually touching. I think if I was running the no edges mod, there would be a slight gap there. So the good thing about that is that when I grab, like, let's say a couple of blocks here on the side, then there won't be much difference in height. I'm going to get rid of this thruster. In fact, I'm going to get rid of all this other extra stuff that I don't need. So let's get rid of these thrusters as well. And then let's put some blocks here. Doesn't seem like it's very straight though. That's the only other thing. So yeah, you can see the height is relatively the same. Although, it does seem to be running more on this side than it does on that side. So that could be a problem. Maybe... Could we put a blast door block here as the entrance to this thing? We could put blast door blocks to then enter the tram. So we could do that. Or maybe let's get rid of that block and maybe let's put in one of these. That's interesting that it's wanting to kind of lean to one side. Don't know why it's doing that. But anyway, I guess we'll kind of fix that a bit later on. Maybe what I can do is kind of increase the strength of the vertical suspension. So let's try that. Let's try increasing the strength to... where's the strength? Okay, let's go 50. Is that better? Not really. It's about the same. Very interesting. Okay, don't know why that's happening, but hey, it's happening. And you can actually see that they're both kind of... Yeah, so this one is like fully up there, and this one has a gap. So this, yeah. Alright, I'm going to need to play around with these settings, figure this out, and then after that, it's pretty much done. I mean, as it stands right now, let's turn the dampeners back on. As it stands right now, this thing is rock solid. Oh. Oh, okay. It was rock solid. Okay, so I think increasing that strength was not a good idea. Oh, man. Alright, let me fix this. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and reduced the strength of these vertical suspensions to be about 5%. And they are a little bit better than what they were before. You can see the gap on this side is slightly higher than the gap on this side, but it's very close to being the same on either side. So these blocks were almost directly lined up. There is a tiny little gap there, and then there is a little bit of a gap there, as you can see. So I think that's about as good as it's going to get. And it also, yeah, it was interesting when I increased the strength of these two wheels here, the suspension strength to 50%. It's like it wanted to kind of shoot out, like it was, you know, a bullet out of a gun. So, and it was very difficult to stop. And yeah, I kind of overran the rails. So yeah, that was very interesting. I didn't know that. So awesome. And then that is currently full speed. And then it changes velocity very quickly and direction, which is nice. It is absolutely rock solid, which is what a train or a tram should be, considering it's on rails. I think this has been pretty successful. So it's only taken me a fair while to actually get this thing designed out. But yeah, so alright, now that we have the configuration of everything set up, now we can actually start making this thing look pretty. So, now I need these blocks here on the side because obviously that's where the suspension attaches to. I'm thinking though, you know, in my tunnel, or whatever kind of tunnel I have, I'm just going to have like a wall here so that all that stuff is hidden and then we can have kind of our train car on the top of that. So I'm thinking we'll try and go for something a little bit sleek, you know, with a pointy back end and a pointy front end. Something that looks a little bit like a bullet train, although I'm going to be fairly limited with what I can do given that I've decided to make this out of large blocks. So yeah, we'll just kind of see how we go. I think that's also another reason why a lot of people use small blocks on these things. Not even because you can line up the suspension way better, but also because of the fact that you can actually make a far more complex design in a small space than you can do with large grid. But, you know, just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to go with large grid and it will be a lot less complex. So, alright, yeah, let's start designing something that's going to look half decent. Okay, so here we are in space, just because I think it's going to be a little bit easier to build this thing, yeah, without having any gravity to worry about. Alright, so let's get started with this thing. So I think I might change it to a different color just so that it's a bit easier for us to see what we're doing. So we'll change it to this color. Right, so the other thing I need to do is probably just get rid of these blocks here on the end. So I'll get rid of those. Actually, maybe I won't. Do I? I think I'll leave an overhang here, so we'll see how we go with that. Then I'll just add another row of blocks on the front here. And what I need to do though is I need to make sure that this thing is odd. Because I'm going to have a door in the center. So what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait, that isn't right. Is that 10? Yeah, so no, 10's an even number. Okay, so I need to make this thing one block wider. Alright, so I guess to do that while still preserving the wheels. Actually, you know what? I might just get rid of the wheel suspension because I'm probably going to change these blocks here to like, I don't know, some sort of curved block. So we'll go ahead and we'll get rid of all these wheel suspensions and then we can just add them back later. I've got all the settings saved and I've got this as a blueprint, so we can come back later and then fix this up if we need to. Alright, cool. So, and then just let's delete a whole bunch of blocks down the middle. Then let's copy this. No, we'll cut this. No, actually, we'll cut it from here. So we'll go Control X, yes. And then I'll add in 2 more blocks, I guess. So we'll add in 2 more blocks like that. And then if we paste it, we should be able to just paste it straight there like that. Alright, so now we are getting somewhere. Let's get rid of these last suspensions here. Alright, so how many blocks is it now? It should be 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, beautiful. Alright, so it is now odd. I'm going to make it just that little bit longer on the ends here, and we'll see how we go. Now, in terms of the taper for this thing, so at the moment it just looks like a really ugly, yeah, kind of arrangement, so we're going to have to sort this out. Alright, so I was thinking maybe we'll grab some windows to start off with. So I was thinking maybe we could use windows like this at the front. But I don't know if that's what I want to really do. I just think it kind of looks a little bit too sleek, if that makes sense. So maybe instead what we can do is we can get rid of these blocks and we can use the 1x1 windows on a 45-degree slope. Question is, which way do I want to use them? I'll probably use them this way so that that little line is at the top. Alright, so we'll place those in like that. I should I turn mirror mode on? Yeah, I'll turn mirror mode on. Alright, so there we go. Alright, cool. So now we got mirror mode. So now it should be a little bit easier to build this thing out. Have I got it the right way? Okay, yeah, cool. So, alright, cool. So that's the start of it. Now let's try and taper the outside a little bit. So we could just go Something boring like this, that's not going to work, or we could go something like that. But I don't really like that angle too much, so maybe instead we can go for something like this. Put one of those blocks in, then maybe one of these blocks, a block like that, and then maybe a block like that. So we can do a shape like that, and then we'll just do the same on this side as well. Alright, cool. So that is both the sides looking the same, and then we can just add our blocks in the side here. Although I think I would like to add some windows in the side here. So this is our midpoint, so this is probably where our door is going to be. So let me grab a door, if I can find it. Here we go. And let's place a door, I guess there. And then we can place in some windows on either side of this. So we've got 3 blocks worth of spacing, which is what I want. So let's place in, I guess, a window like that. That's the only way it's going to go around. Then one of these over here, and then possibly one of those over there. And then we want our center block, which will be windows like this. Yeah, so far I think it looks okay-ish. It does look a little bit shallow, I guess, so we'll have to address that. Alright, let's get rid of these blocks here and make the rest of it kind of meet up. So let's maybe place in one of these here. The question is, yeah, I'll go for this method first, and we'll see how this looks. So we'll place in, I guess, these here as well. So it'll be the same top and bottom. I don't know if I like the whole wedge look at the front, but I guess all we can do is play around with it and see how it looks after we've finished. Alright, so let's get rid of this one, and then let's put in the same block, which is this block here. This one. Okay, so we can go like that. And I'm thinking maybe at the front, I don't want the front to be like a point. What we could do is probably go something like that, but then it's like kind of a wedge. I don't know if I really like that. Maybe instead I can have like, let's say one of these blocks here. So we'll spin this around, go like that, and then we'll place in one of the blocks that joins these two together. So something like that. We could do something like that. And I think that looks a little bit more rounded, a little bit nicer. Okay, so now the roof. The roof, probably going to go with these blocks, then across the top. We'll do the same on the other side, actually. And then I'll be able to cover these things with something else, so that should be pretty good. Alright, let's grab these blocks here, and then do the same on the other side. So just some 2x1 tips. Let's move them across. Where are we? I think there should be a block that will bridge that gap, but I guess we'll do this first. So then we'll place all of our blocks all the way across. So now at least we have an interior roof, which is fine. And then what I would like to do is probably place some blocks across there like that. Now, I should be able to use one of the new blocks that was added in the last update here, and then that will bridge that gap. Question is though, in mirror mode, does it actually go ahead and place its counterpart? Oh, it does! Awesome! Oh, that works out really good. Alright, let's change the time of day here because I can't see very much and it's annoying. Alright, so let's get rid of these blocks here at the front and make them the same as the other side. So I'll put in my little corner piece, then we'll go for one of these in the center, like so, and then we'll join them up with those corner pieces like that. So that's pretty much going to be my tram. It looks pretty simple. As I said, I'm not sure if I want to adjust this portion here. I could make it flat, so we could, let's just get rid of all these blocks here on the side. So I could just make it kind of flat like this. But then again, you're not really going to see too much of this because my plan is to have a lot of this hidden, at least when it's in the station anyway. So now I don't believe there is a block that goes between these two. So the only real option I've got here is to do something like that. But yeah, I don't know if I like that. I don't think that looks that great, to be honest. So I think I'm going to go back to the design I had before. So we'll have one of these, then one of these, and then one of these. And we'll do something like that. Now, where the wheels are concerned, maybe I might start a set of wheels here. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can have more wheels. Instead of having 6 wheels, I can have like 8 wheels or something like that. Or 9 wheels, or however many wheels I need to have. So perhaps with the wheels we could use this block here. We could even use this block to put our wheel suspension. So I need to turn mirror mode off for this. So a wheel there, wheel there, wheel there, and a wheel there. And then on the other side we shall do the same thing. So darn it, one there, one there, one there. That isn't fantastic, having so many wheels on one side. I don't know, I think it should be okay though. I didn't experience any issues even when we had the misstaggered wheels last time. So I guess I'll just have to build it out and then we can test it. Only thing is, maybe this roof is a little bit too narrow. Maybe we can dress this up a little bit. So maybe across the center I can put in another little design or something like that. So what we could do is grab maybe like one of these blocks and one of these blocks here. So something like that. And now what can I join these up with? I think they did actually add a block that will allow me to get this working. I believe it's in this menu. Let's have a look. We could go for that. Don't know if I really like that. Yeah, so we could do something like that. I don't know. Let's do one side and see how it looks. So let's get rid of these blocks here as well. And then let's put in these 2x1 bases. And it just gives it just a little bit more shape, I guess. I don't know. I do not know if I really like it. Maybe we could put a ridge here or something. So let's get rid of that. And then, is this all joined together? Yeah, it should be. How am I going to create a ridge here? So I think maybe with this block here. So grab that. Maybe I can change that. No, it has to be that block, which is a bit unfortunate because it kind of looks a bit weird. Alright, let's go for the other one, which is on this side. Kind of looks a bit... I wish there was a flow happening here, but I don't think I can get anything to kind of do that. Alright, so let's get rid of... Man, the sun moves very fast in this world. It's really annoying. I should probably disable the sun in this creative world, at least for the purposes of actually building stuff. And then we can just grab our half slabs and put them all the way along there. Let's grab the welder out. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I don't know, let me know what you guys think. It is, you know, supposed to serve a function, so I guess it doesn't have to be the prettiest thing in the world. And I've never really designed trams before, so it's yeah. Or I guess let's get rid of these blocks here. Let's do the other side differently and see how it looks. So maybe we'll put in these blocks. Oh, Wait, it's not that one. It is... Could go for that. No, I don't think that will look any better either. Alright, so we could go like that. Actually, it's the same thing, really, isn't it? If I went for that block, it's pretty much a 2x1 base, except that way it's... Yeah, it's kind of almost the same. Alright, let's get rid of that. Put in another one of these. Then we will grab our 2x1 slabs, or 2x1 bases, run them all the way along this way, and then... So yeah, I don't know if that looks better, or if the flat, completely flat roof looks better, or if that actually looks better. I am leaning towards this kind of style because it does look a little bit more interesting, and maybe to dress it up further, I was gonna say maybe to dress it up further I could add some railings on the top, but I don't know if I can actually go ahead and do that, because so maybe we could add in some railings, but yeah, like I said, kind of doesn't work because we have this kind of these half slabs. So yeah, it's just not going to work if I try and add those. Could I add some railings maybe? Oh, that's a centered railing. Okay. Let's try maybe a railing along the top, like that. And then, does that actually look any decent? Then we can run some lights there. Oh, actually, if I get rid of these, can I place a centered railing along the top here? Ooh, I can. I can do something like that, and then we can add in some lights because you guys know I love my accent lights. So let's select some corner lights here. Except they kind of won't be on that side or underneath that railing, so I'd have to have... so we could do our lights like that, except I would probably have one there, and one there. But let's get rid of these rails and let's go back into our railing again, and maybe we can... darn it, I need the one that is offset. There we go. And then maybe we can put a railing along there like that. Hey, why is it not letting me? There we go. And then I should be able to attach a corner light to this door now. Yeah, we could do something like that. Just makes it look a little bit more interesting. I don't know. Obviously along the bottom we can't really put anything, so that's okay. Yeah, I think I am going to go for this design. I think it does look a little bit more interesting. So let's go ahead and, in fact, on the top here though, maybe I can put in some sci-fi interior walls or something like that. So maybe we could put in some sci-fi interior walls. Which side do I put? I could put that side. I guess it doesn't really matter which way it is. So we could do something like that so that when we go inside, I don't think I can open that door because, you know, there's no power in there. But then at least we have something interesting going on in the roof. So that doesn't look too bad. And I've got enough space in there to put my lights. And now we just need to kind of work out the interior. But let me change up this side to the same as the other, and then we'll see how we go. Okay, cool. So the other side is pretty much the same. Might turn mirror mode back on now, so at least we've got the same thing happening on both sides. So let me just put the railings on the side. I guess I probably should have done this earlier, hey? Okay, there we go. And now, I think I might change the skin of these blocks here to something else. So what we could do is go for maybe the sci-fi armor, and then we can make it a actually. Yeah, so we got the sci-fi armor. But I want to change the color. I want to make it a darker grey than the rest of the tram, but not too much darker. Okay, and then maybe we can change all of these blocks here to the sci-fi armor. How does that look from here? I don't know. It doesn't really match everything else. Everything else is just kind of like this ugly battered armor texture, but then we have that on the top. So that's right. I'll mess around with the colors a little bit later, but for now I think it doesn't look too bad. Now, one thing I need to kind of think about with this whole setup is what I'm going to do for power. So for the power, I don't know. I would like to run just a couple of batteries. I would like to think that is going to be enough. So potentially what I could do here, are these wheel suspensions actually still attached to something? Let me just grab a wheel suspension and make sure that they will actually still be attached. Can you attach these on their side? Yes, you can. Alright, cool. So they are actually still joined to the tram. That's what I need. And they're the right orientation too. Okay. I'm thinking maybe I'll get rid of these blocks and these blocks and then these blocks as well. And then we'll just add like 6 batteries to this thing. I think that should be enough. I hope it will be enough. Let's go for maybe the warfare batteries, so we have a little bit more interesting stuff going on. Could probably use that side. We could use that side. Or we could use this side. And I'm going to turn mirror mode off because it's not going to orientate them correctly on the other side. So we could go like that so that when we're in the tram we can actually see how much charge they have. So let's open the door here. And then yeah, you can kind of see how much charge they've got. So over the top of these, what we can do is just go ahead and put in some graded catwalks. So probably I could even put some walls in. I don't know. So we could just put in some graded catwalks. That's a bit weird how this bit sticks out though. Okay, maybe instead of that we can go with one of these. Huh. Interesting. I never noticed that before. Okay. Well, that is what it is. I suppose I could use like the standard wheels. The vanilla wheels that weren't added in the... I can't remember which update these wheels were added. Warfare. Or is it Warfare? No, Wasteland. Yeah, that's the one. I don't know. But what I do know is I need some light in here. Alright, so let's grab just a regular interior light. Let's place one here, one on this end, and then one on this end as well in the center. Okay, so let's configure those. Let's turn my lights off. Let's go in here. Let's find our interior lights. So let's configure these to be 190, 215, very similar to how I have all the rest of the stuff in my base. Fall off will be 2, intensity 1.2, and radius, I don't know, let's try 10 meters. So how's that? Yeah, it's not bad. We don't have much light on the outside, that's fine. So these corner lights, let's go ahead and adjust the settings for those. Corner lights. Let's change these to, I think it was 170 and 100, isn't it? Yeah, something like that. Let's change those. I could adjust the radius here to... I'm going to go 3.5 meters. We'll see how that looks. Fall off 2. Intensity... we'll go 0.8. Something like that. Offset, I will set to 0. And let's jump out and see how this looks. There we go. Now my jetpack's on. Yeah, that actually looks pretty cool. That will look really cool in the tunnel, I think. And then we have I think I might need to put a light a bit closer up the front though. Oh yeah, I will. And the reason is because this light is sitting over this battery. So if I want to cover this battery, I'm not going to be able to have this light here. So we're going to have to get rid of this, although I might use my grinder because I risk deleting the block above it. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this interior. There we go. And let's remove this seat. I'll turn my lights back on. Let's get rid of the seat. Right, now let's move our lights to... twitching like crazy. And let's place one there. Yep, that should hopefully work out pretty well. Okay, let's change those interior lights. So let's change them to be the same as the other one. Okay, so those lights have now been changed, and I think we have a decent amount of light inside this thing. What's this block? Yeah, it's one of those. Would really like to put a transition block there, but there's not really too much I can do about that. Just going to have to kind of live with the fact that there is a not so much nice transition there, but I don't really want to make this thing any longer than what it already is. So that is kind of okay. And maybe as well I can add some railings on the top to give it just a little bit more shape. So let us go with a double railing. Where's my double railing? So let's go with a double railing all the way along, and then we'll have our single railing there, and then another single railing there. And I'm not sure about the color. To be honest, I'm not even sure about that railing. Doesn't even really look that cool. It looked better in my head. I don't know. Alright, let's get rid of that. I don't think it looks that great. Okay, it's gone. Alright, so I think so far it's looking pretty good. I might go off camera and mess around with the interior though, but I just wanted to kind of get the exterior smashed out kind of quickly, and obviously I need to go away and put in the wheels. So I think what I'll do first is I'll put in the wheels, and then I'll put it back onto the tracks, and we'll see how it looks after that. Alright, and here we have our completed tram. I went ahead and I changed the wheels to these non-Wasteland wheels because I think they look just a tiny touch better. Yeah, I think this is looking really, really good. Yeah, and I lengthened the rail so we can test it out just a little bit more. And what I've also done is increase the speed of this thing to about 40 kilometers an hour. So it is a little bit faster. Maybe we could go up to, let's try, so we've got our horizontal wheels. I believe they were the ones with the speed. So let's go with 60 kilometers an hour. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable speed. We could probably go faster. Let's maybe try about 80 kilometers an hour. So let's go about 80. Yeah, that's pretty good. Fantastic. Alright. So now I need to add some timer blocks and a remote control block to this thing as well at some point. So, but, you know, that's pretty much all I've got time for in this episode. So, yeah, hopefully you guys learned something. I mean, I certainly learned a lot while creating this tram. So, yeah, hopefully in the next episode we can actually get this thing done and then actually start thinking about putting it into the base, and then building the tunnel for it and the stations on either end for it, and then, yeah, getting that process at least started. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe so that you get a notification every time I release a new episode, and I will see you next time.